No, I was just saying. I just watched that video again of that guy on the train. Just got my blood boiling, dude. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Just to refuel your anger.
Yeah. And just to get my points, just get the key points that I want to discuss, dude. Yeah, no, it's bad. It's bad. It's ridiculous.
Oh my God, these gaijins on train. I mean, not only on trains, man. Pretty much everywhere in Tokyo these days.
Right.
I talked to Naoki a few weeks. Man, like this, supposed to talk to this motherfucker like 3 weeks ago. But yeah, man, like Naoki, even Taiga too, because these are the guys in Japan living in Tokyo. They're comfortable and they have a lot of interaction with gaijins there.
Right.
So it's not like, you know, they be like, oh my God, I saw a gaijin today, right? So they're pretty comfortable and they know, you know, their way around gaijins and all that stuff. Even they are saying, yeah, gaijin oi. Tashikani oi. You go to Shibuya, they say it's all gaijins.
Well, dude, like, you could see it in the YouTube videos. Like, dude, it's messed up. I mean, again, like, it is what it is. I mean, that's the reality nowadays, but it's jarring. It's jarring to look at. Like, it looks less like Japan in like in a weird way, dude. It's
the same place, just different people.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Like what I heard from them was all these stores, like Shokudo or whatever store, right? They're more like gaijin muke now because they have made all the Japanese stores in Japan and Tokyo,
right?
Or even in Osaka too, because they said 60% of the tourists, they either go to Tokyo or Osaka.
Right.
So like not any other places, but
right.
So all the stores, because now they have to make up all the money they lost during the pandemic.
Right.
They're like, oh, okay, now let's take advantage of these gaijins. And
well, I mean, yeah, I would say normally, again, like you've got 2% foreigners living there now. It used to be 1%. So they've doubled the number of people living there. And that does, I don't know if that includes tourists. I don't know how that works.
I don't think so.
So it means that there's more than 2% foreigners in Japan right now. I think
so, because they said like Japan tourism is all-time high in 2024.
Oh yeah, it's the most foreigners ever to touch that island at once.
And still growing.
Yeah.
So, like this over-tourism problem in Japan.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's again, it's where we were talking about like world economies and stuff. And after COVID, like that was a real thing for sure.
But yeah, the sad thing is, go ahead.
Yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no. The sad thing is Japan cannot afford to not have these gaijins. Just like I said, because they lost so much money during the pandemic, and they even held the Olympics during the pandemic. So making up all these stadiums. And,
right. Oh, so yeah, that's a lot of money.
So yeah, man. But these stores I was talking about, these restaurants, you know what they call them? Like Japanese people call these tourists? InbounDon.
What they call it, tourists?
InbounDon.
Yes, I do.
No.
Meiwaku gaikokujin?
No. InbounDon.
Oh, okay. Rebound?
Inbound.
Oh, okay.
So they just call it, inbound. It's inbound. 最近 inbound 多い. That's what they say.
That's the slang for it?
Yeah. You know what's even funnier? All these stores ripping off gaijins. They say like you go to Tsukiji or Toyosu fish market. They have these kaisen donburi.
Right.
For like 1,000,000 yen.
Yo, what, just a bowl?
Yeah. 2,000,000
a single bowl.
Yeah, but it's all like Insta friendly. You know those
right, like all made up really nice.
It's not a Japanese, but it's for the tourist people.
But that's $200, dude.
But then, you know,
well, I guess
all the
it's
tourists,
lower now.
No, all the tourists, it's still what? Like exchange rate is what? $1 is like still 152 yen last time I checked. So yen is still cheap.
Okay.
Yeah, so for the tourists, they go to Japan, they're like, it's okay. Once in a while, we're in Japan. Plus, that's like what? $200.
That's like close to $100 though for a bowl. Right?
No, but it's cheaper for us because dollars more expensive, right?
Right.
So they will just pay because I mean, $200 once in a while, yeah, but in reality, how much is that? $100, 130,
Right.
20, something like that. I'm not a math Asian, by the way. So, but yeah, I mean, 2만 yen kaisen don, 1만 yen yakitori, some bullshit like that, right?
Right.
So all the tourists is like, and all these restaurants like, oh, okay, now let's rip off these gaijins, take advantage. We have to make all this money back with these guys.
Right.
So every store is turning into a gaijin muke store. Gaijin muke is like, we only selling these things to gaijins. I guess
Right.
that's gaijin tax nowadays. So
Yeah.
by the way, you know what they call those expensive rip-off kaisen dons?
What?
InbounDon. So it's InbounDon and donburi. InbounDon.
And nobody, right?
Yeah,
Nice.
and like 日本人誰も買わないよ。誰も食わない。Everybody's just like, nah.
Right.
Let them eat it and pay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I talked to a couple Japanese friends recently, and they told me that, especially Shibuya, has turned into a very different place. Like that place was, I mean, at least when I was there, you know, a lot of young people like to go there. Girls like to go there shopping. You got the Ichimaru-Q building. You've got all the like fashion
Kurogyaru.
shops, all that stuff. Yeah. But now it seems like they have a lot of like kind of like yatai, like shops on the street, gaijin muke, like for foreigners, you know, selling like tchotchkes, little like, you know, it's kind of like, you know, Asakusa got moved to like Shibuya, kind of like, I guess because people, I would say most foreigners who know anything about Japan will probably know about Shibuya before they even know about Asakusa. Even though Asakusa is like the main kind of like tourist spot to get, you know, souvenirs and yeah, it's a tourist trap area, right? But Shibuya apparently is turned into something like that. And they have like the whole Mario Kart nonsense and all that. They do it through there too, right? Yeah.
the Mario Kart thing. I was talking to Taiga and I was looking up cheap hotels and whatever, right? On the English side. And you know, they have different tours for those Mario Karts. I thought it was only one company, maybe Nintendo. Like, you know,
Right.
Nintendo outsourced it to this one company. No, it was,
Right.
they have the carts in different parts of Tokyo. And there are all these other, it's like a club. You know, there's one club and they have different promoters, right? And different events. Mario
Yeah.
Kart is kind of like that.
So there's just a bunch of different companies
Yeah.
doing the same.
I mean, different, yeah. So, but I mean, I think, what I saw, Shibuya one was most expensive because they go to like Shibuya to, I don't know, it's an hour tour or something like that. And they have,
They go to Roppongi.
I don't know if they have Roppongi, but it seems like they have it, right? Because it's,
I mean, it's like close enough, right? Like, how far do they go in these carts, or is it like short? They go around the block and like, all right,
it's
enough.
like,
enough.
it's like $100. They have it in Asakusa, Shinjuku, Roppongi, Akihabara, of course.
Right.
So Taiga and I was like, yo, 次来るときやる? I'm like,
That guy's like, let's do it. Yo, okay, like,
行ってみる?
I mean,
I'm like,
see, I'm not really a weeb, so like a lot of these things, I just, I got zero interest in any of that.
yeah.
Like, you know, when I moved there and I spoke Japanese, Japanese people just assumed I was like a super otaku, like that I would know things more about Japan than they do, even because I was like just a fan, like a simp. I'm not.
plus
And I
you're a
wasn't
mangaka
back then
too,
either.
so
Right.
people just automatically, he must love all these animes and mangas.
Yeah, right. And well, I guess manga artists didn't think that. Manga creators did not, because again, manga is not about like, you know, fantasy or what, it's about whatever. So some people write manga about history or about politics or whatever. So those people, that world has nothing to do with them, even though they're part of the industry professionally, right? So manga creators didn't just assume I was like a nerd. Some kind of did, but then like, you know, we'd talk and then they're like, oh wow, so like you don't play video games? I'm like, not really. And they're like, do you watch anime? I'm like, sometimes, but not, you know, like it's just, I tell her I like doing my stuff. That's why I'm doing manga, because like I want to do stuff that nobody else is doing. So that's why I don't have, I don't have anywhere to read that stuff. I got to make it myself. They're like, they're like, それはかっこいい答えだな. That's a very cool excuse for a cool response. But I realized these things because I was watching some videos about the we're going to talk about today, and it's like all the things that people are saying, oh, Japan, because again, it's another theme in Pipochu was like, Japan is not your theme park.
Right.
Like, this is a country. Like, we might make things that you're interested in, but just because you like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or like Godzilla or whatever, Pokemon. Like, that's not what this country is. A country. It's a real place where people work. They got things to do. They got schedules to keep. And, you come here and do all this stuff. And, like, that was years ago, dude, when I did that. One of the reasons why I wrote that story is because when I was living here in the States, I would go to anime conventions and I would see these, like, cosplayers really excited and, like, doing all these things, copying things from anime. Like, I saw American otaku talking to each other in Japanese. And they were, like, reciting stuff from animes. And it was, like, mad awkward. But like I understood their excitement. Yeah. But I was also like, yo, they're getting all of this twisted. Like nobody sounds like this in Japan. And that gave me the idea for Milton and all this other stuff. And eventually I thought, okay, what's the foil to that? And it's like, okay, it's a Yakuza that loves American Hollywood movies and MTV and that type of stuff. And then I was like, okay, but right now there's videos of people saying exactly what I said in that story, like over 10 years ago. Yeah. Where it's like, yo, this is a country. It's not what you're seeing in your cartoons that you like. Right. And people are going there to do the stuff that they've always dreamt of that doesn't exist in Japan. Like they're just getting wild with it.
That's that TikTok generation or IG generation, because now I think, because back then it was more of an anime or manga thing, or even Japanese dramas, whatever. But nowadays, it's more like TikTok and IG. And when you get on IG or TikTok, that's all you see. People doing stupid stuff in Japan. Like dancing, all that stuff. So to them, now, to this new generation, they're like, oh, this is what we have to do in Japan. Again, like Logan Paul, Jake Paul.
Right.
Who went to Japan?
Throwing Pokeballs at moving cars and
stuff like that, So they're like, oh, this is okay in Japan. This is the thing to do in Japan, and take videos about it. I remember Taz like saying when I first went to Japan, like he was like the first gaijin I ever met in Japan. And this one time I went to his house and we're having a cigarette, we was talking about Japan and all that stuff, and he's like, how much you know about Japan? I'm like, I'm pretty comfortable. I know the culture, not 100%, but I know, I think I know because I grew up in Korea too. And he's like, oh, okay, then like Japan, like these gaijins, when they first come to Japan, they think Japan is a Disneyland for adults. And I was like, really? Right. Were people really act that way? They act all stupid and all that stuff. But all that stuff, they did. Like, I mean, fast forward. Spoiler, they did. The thing is that those things, like the gaijin shenanigans, all the bullshit, only stayed in Roppongi pretty much. Right. And all the gaijins, they only stayed in Roppongi, never out. Maybe Shibuya sometimes, because there are a lot of clubs. Because it's always the clubs. Right. So Shibuya, Roppongi, Kabukicho, a little different, but most of the stuff, gaijin shenanigans, stayed in Roppongi. Right. But because of these TikTok videos and IG videos and all these InbounDon, it's now all over Tokyo now. The trains and everything. Oh my god!
If you think about it, even in Tokyo, there's only certain areas that have like really like things you consider fun to do if you're a Westerner and you don't speak, you can't read the signs, you can't. There's only certain hubs, and it used to be Shibuya, Roppongi, of course, Shinjuku, Akihabara. That's about it. But now, because of what we talked about, they need the tourism. It seems like a lot of different areas of the city are starting to do like fun things. for tourists, where they're just setting up shops on the street and whatever. And so now, you're getting that everywhere, and, people are taking their videos. So I guess we'll jump into our topic today, which again, this happens often. Yeah, this just happens often. Sometimes, depending on the topic, I'll look things up, to take notes and kind of bring up certain things. And I just start getting real aggravated. I start getting upset. Again, it's stupid, but, So we're going to talk about meiwaku gaikokujin, which is nuisance foreigners. It's a recent term that was coined in Japan because of the type of stuff that's going on right now, which is ridiculous. So I guess the specific one is trains. That's what we'll talk about. Yeah. But I guess the term meiwaku gaikokujin, the nuisance foreigner, is due to a couple different things that have been happening perpetually as of late in Japan. It's not just, one case or two. No, it seems like people are going to do that. And now that you said about the TikTok videos and stuff, I'm not on TikTok, so apparently people see that and then they want to imitate that when they go to Japan. Yeah. So you've got people, one thing that was, the what do you call it? The tori, the tori gate.
Yeah, tori.
Yeah. There's these red gates. They're they're gates that have they're red columns, and they line up on the way to Shinto shrines.
Yeah, that's the entrance for the shrine, right?
Right. And so I guess the meaning of it is when you cross through the gates, you go from the normal mundane human life to the holy the sacred, And so there are these videos. I guess there are these girls who are doing a challenge. These challenges, man. Why don't you challenge yourself and do something with your life? I mean, listen to me. It sounds like an osan, but seriously, dude.
Get into Harvard challenge. Something like that. Get into Todai challenges.
Right. But these girls were hanging from the toris.
All those little bitches doing the pull-ups.
Doing pull-ups and stuff. Here's the thing, man. It doesn't matter if you're not Japanese and you're not from there. You have to realize that this is something important, of certain importance.
Right.
I would assume, the reason I would assume that is anywhere you go that is not your own country, and especially when the culture is very different from yours, it's important to be mindful because you really don't know what you're doing and, what kind of, thing you might think is normal, and because you do it in your country, and then it becomes something very disrespectful or whatever, egregious wherever you're visiting.
Right.
So they were doing that. They had to apologize for it because people got ruckus on them online. They got all sorts of they were real hateful messages,
grilling him right in the asses.
And the other thing is this: again, everything you do on camera and put out there for everybody to see, that's well documented. Whatever you did is super documented and reviewed by who knows how many people, potentially millions.
I don't think we did anything that bad, but we acted stupid in Japan too. I'm just glad taking a video wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah, well, I thought about that. I thought about that while watching these things. But there's nothing we did that Japanese people didn't also do when they were drunk.
Exactly.
That's one thing I will say. So we weren't completely, were we stupid? Yes. Were we annoying? Definitely.
And there were at times the same time, we were just holding Japanese people back. Right?
Right. So again, our shenanigans, we still were aware of what the limits are, what's because again, Japan will accept tomfoolery in certain occasions just fine. Again, we said, when you're drinking and stuff, there's certain social rules for that, and people do accept some jackass behaviors when you're drunk. Given if you are not, completely out of hand and taking advantage of if they see that you're you're
kind of and the sun is down, then it's right.
Okay. Right. So we had people hanging from these gates at the Shinto shrines. You got people in the trains stacking luggage in front of the door, which again, like, what are you thinking? I mean, again, it just doesn't make sense. Whatever country you're from, you should know better than that, because you would think you've traveled in the train before, and you know that the door is where people exit and enter the train car. So why would you, doesn't make sense. Somehow some guy climbed up on the Family Mart, like, like the sign, like
I think I saw
the entrance, like the roof.
I think I
he
saw
climbed up. He was doing that. These things came out in the news. And again, it's like, okay, Japanese people, they do crazy stuff too. They're not doing these particular things that foreigners seem to be doing in droves for some reason, which it might be social media. They see it, monkey see, monkey do, and they go and they copy it. Another one that was interesting to me was sitting on the ground, right? And so I was watching some Japanese videos where they were talking about things that were upsetting them about the Meiwaku Gaikokujin, right? Right. And they're saying, sitting on the ground. Now, to be fair, there are Japanese people who sit on the ground too.
Yeah.
But there's also context to that. The people who sit on the ground are usually young, and they're Yankee, kind of furio, like they're kind of like,
Toyoko
and they're
Kids.
just, like, they're doing things that is not socially acceptable. But again, they're at the age where they're like rebelling or whatever before they turn into the shakaijin and then the Japanese societal cuffs. You're done. Yeah. So, but apparently foreigners are just going everywhere and sitting around. And what the Japanese person was saying was that, like, traditionally in Japan, it's seen as vulgar to sit on the ground.
Yeah.
It, for many reasons, like it ruins the scenery.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of people all over the floor, The other thing he was saying is Japanese people sit on the floor in their houses. They sleep on the floor. They eat, like, depending on the setup of their house. If it's traditional, they're tatami, they're sitting down. So they don't sit on the ground outside because that would, like, make their house filthy when they get back.
Right.
The shoes come off when you go in the house in Japan. The reason for that is to keep your floors and everything clean, right? So, which again, other cultures don't do that. You walk around with your shoes in the house and you bring in whatever from outside. Like, other cultures don't care so much about that. But then again, people chasing the maiko-san, the apprentice geishas for photos. And there's videos that are ridiculous, dude. Yeah. There's that video of that lady, man.
Yeah.
We gotta pop up at least a photo.
She's a I will. She's a meme at this point.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, dude. You gotta realize, like, these are people trying to live their life, and you're visiting their country. It's not safari, dude.
And to them, it's all Disneyland. It's like, oh my God, Snow White right there. That's whoever, like, Beauty and the Beast. Right. Let's go take a picture. Right. Yeah, man. So, I mean, all those things. Tell you one thing. Even Mario Kart, like, regular Japanese people, they hate it.
Of course, dude.
Hate them all, man.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. I hate it. I'm not even Japanese, dude. Here's one that's ridiculous, dude. It's people standing in traffic, standing in train tracks, standing on bridges for photos. For photos and videos and TikToks where they're doing their little dance and shit. Dude, like, that's crazy. I saw footage of people standing in the freeway to take videos and stuff. And they were sitting and they had their luggage there, like they weren't aware. This was back during COVID. So there wasn't a lot of traffic apparently.
But still.
So they were, and these people didn't know that that's a road. Like, they had their luggage out there. And by the way, dude, like,
the traffic is opposite too. So people are like, oh, there's no cars coming in from this, from your back.
Well, the other thing is, like, again, not all of these foreigners were Westerners even. There were Asian people doing these things from Asian countries. So what's going on here? It's just, so Meiwaku Gaikokujin isn't like,
only Westerners.
It isn't
right?
just relegated to Westerners.
No,
it's
I mean,
like,
we talked about the Koreans, right? 一緒に酒飲むか、韓国人,
right? And then another thing that they're complaining about that's happening a lot now is loud music Apparently, foreigners are just walking around with their music playing real loud. Man, that's something.
Was it some hood like boombox type?
Yeah, that was over in the 80s, dude. No, it's just people with their phones just playing it loud, thinking. Here's one thing
like
for me. Again, here's another Osan rant, but that's just something. It's what makes people think anybody else wants to hear their music.
Right.
I never understand that. Like, what makes you think people like the shit you listen to? Like, again, this is like super Oyaji rant. But dude, it happens on the trains here.
Yeah, all the time.
And it's just people sitting there and it's like, listen,
just
like
taking it. Yeah.
What makes you think that's cool?
I don't know.
But apparently that's happening a lot more now.
Yeah, man, like good point, man. I make music. You know, I don't want to hear music all the time on the train.
Right.
Like cars passing by, like, you know, how we do it here. Like, people just volume to the max, hip hop.
Yeah.
Like subwoofers, like shaking the whole house and stuff, whole neighborhood. Right. Alarms going off. So, man, like, I don't know. Again, man, I guess certain people, when they hear music, they feel a certain type of way. So they're like, oh, look at me being this cool with somebody else's music. I mean, but that's music too. So, but I don't want to hear anything. Taylor Swift. Actually, I like Taylor Swift, but
right. I mean, like, whatever it is, you know, it's just, again, why assume that everybody else, number one, likes what you like, and number two, wants to hear it. So
number three,
this brings me to another topic, which makes, you know, Meiwaku the nuisance. Part of the nuisance is kuki o yomenai.
KY.
You know, so if you're a kuki o yomenai gaikokujin, which means, like, you know, you read the room. We have that in every culture. Yeah. There is the concept of reading the room, of no matter who you are or what you want to do, you kind of look around and you figure out, okay, is this going to work? Is this something people are okay with or not?
Right.
I think what happens in Japan is, because people are, you know, they're pretty shy, they're non-confrontational. We always say that, but that is something to be mindful of in Japan, is that people don't want confrontation. They just want to get along and be left alone to do their stuff, and they leave other people alone, and everybody's considerate of others. And so because of that, it's upon everybody to have the responsibility of reading the room, or kuki o yomu, reading the air.
Reading the air.
The way it's said in Japanese. So foreigners, you need to be aware of that if you want to go to Japan.
100%.
Just look around. You're not expected to know everything. Japanese people don't expect Westerners or foreigners to know their Japanese stuff. They don't. They really understand that you most likely don't. But they do appreciate you at least looking and acting accordingly. You know, if you see people are not doing what you're about to do, maybe don't do that. And what I see many people, Japanese people, there's this guy, I forget what his name is, Takeshi, something, Japan's Takashi or something like that. I'm butchering it
the
out.
interview dude?
Yeah.
Takashi from Japan.
Okay, Takashi from Japan. He was interviewing Japanese people about this. And he was asking them, like, what are things that you don't particularly like about foreigners?
These
right?
days. Oh.
Yeah. And, you know, and even people when they're responding, you know, of course, they're very polite about how they respond.
Right.
Nobody's like, I hate this now. They're just like, well, you know, the one thing that I would say is probably not my favorite. Very diplomatic.
But if I have to pick one.
Right. Yeah. So again, very diplomatic in the Japanese way of conveying your message. But they all seem, a lot of them seem to say that, like, foreigners don't, they see that something might not be, they can see around them that nobody's doing something, but because they're not being told not to, they just decide to do it anyway.
Anyways, right.
It's not that they don't understand. I think at a certain point, I think even Japanese people who are kind of clueless about foreign stuff and they kind of feel like, oh, you know, we don't know, they can still kind of tell when a foreigner has just decided to be a kid and just do stuff even though they know they're not supposed to. So you know, I mean, again, there is such a thing as going there and just not knowing and making a mistake. Sure. Right. And that's forgiven. But when it's not a mistake, when you know there's the excuse of I'm not from here, it's a mistake, I don't know, and then you go and do stuff, you know, then we get into like this person on the train that we're going to talk about. Like that person knew full well what they were doing was not only a nuisance, but like nobody was into it. It was obnoxious. It was out of hand. So one thing that came up, and there's a lot of videos about it, is, you know, those dance crews that they got like in New York. They're in Times Square and they're doing their little backflips and all that stuff and whatever. And then, you know, they'll take it into trains. I don't know if they do that on the train in New York.
Oh, they do it all the time, man. I grew up with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How do people in New York react to that?
See,
I could
that's the
imagine
thing.
tons of people on the train in New York don't like that at all. I'm pretty sure.
Like, yo, man, that's the thing. Like, I grew up with all those dancing, singing, you know, not only those actually, robbery, people fighting, urinating, defecating, crackheads doing drugs on the train. Like pretty much like the whole subway bullshit textbook is New York train, right?
Right.
And I can tell you with confidence, like the dancing thing, people hate him, man. You know who likes him?
Surprised.
Themselves, performers themselves, and that's it. Everybody hates him, but you know, people are just too tired to care about it. And also, we have bigger problems to be aware of on trains, right?
Right.
So, but then, you know, the bottom
pickpockets,
like
people
gun shooting, stabbing people,
right?
Like robberies, crackheads, just like dying on trains and stuff. Yeah, so like the dancing, all the acrobatic stuff, people are just like, whatever, just try to like mushy. But doing all those things on Japanese trains, I'm pretty sure everybody who watched those could tell, like watch those Instagram, TikTok videos could tell, like people in Japan, they're like, being all awkward, trying not to be a part of it, you know, trying their best to pretend like, you know, they don't know what's going on and all that stuff. Yo, I really feel bad watching those videos. I feel bad for the Japanese people on the train.
Yo, I felt a lot of things watching those videos, dude. Like, number one, the kind of stuff they were doing on that train, I can't imagine them doing that in New York. They get kicked in the head.
Yeah.
Like, I don't listen. Like, you're a performer on the train and whatever in New York. You're not putting yourself in a situation where someone can harm you,
right? The
way these people were in Japan, which leads me to believe they're just doing that because they can tell that people are not going to do anything.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly.
So this dude was, you know, hanging from the banisters, and you know, like he would throw himself on the ground next to people.
Yeah,
and then he would like put his hand out and be like, I don't know what these people were doing because it's the lamest.
Just rage baiting. Just rage baiting, man.
Right, but I mean, what are they rage baiting for the video, or are they rage baiting the people riding the train? Because
both. Man,
what's the point of that? These people are just they have nothing to do with you.
Man, you saw that girl, the little school, probably like a chugakse, or I don't think she's a kokose, but a little girl, middle school girl, school uniform.
Yeah,
this dude was like walking right next to her, and
he was like doing like dumb.
Yeah,
making faces.
And the girl was like,
"Bro,
it's scared." Just like looking outside, like all frozen up and stuff. Man, I'm like, things like that will traumatize that girl. Man.
Again, dude, like this guy. Cause see, here's the thing. I saw that video, and then you know they kept like putting their hands in people's faces to get like a high five or a bump. Number one, dude, people in Japan don't know what this is. People. Okay, just for context, man, people don't high five in Japan. They don't hug. They shake hands in professional situations. Maybe most of the time it's a bow. If it's a Westerner, maybe they'll shake your hand if it's like some kind of business scenario.
Or hip hop dudes.
But like, what's that?
Or hip hop dudes.
Hip hop dudes are not part of Japanese society, dude. They're not, dude. Like they're not, dude. Like. they're on some other stuff.
Yeah,
compared 100%. To normal Japanese, in every sense of the way.
Right.
I would say, right? I would say they're more outgoing.
Yeah.
They behave in ways that Japanese people don't. Like
what they saw on music videos and movies.
Right. Well, plus they're jumping up on stages and performing.
Yeah.
Shy person usually doesn't do that type of stuff. Like, a lot of things, right? Even the lyrics, the braggadocio, like, again, not Japanese. Like, none of those things are Japanese. So, again, like, let's not confuse people who don't know, telling them, because you behave like a Japanese rapper, you're not going to be normal in Japan anyway. Like, right. But, they were, and you could see visibly, these people were not feeling any of this, dude.
Not at all,
You can see the faces of some of these people.
Yeah.
They look at the camera. There's this one guy that looks at the camera, and like, the look in his face is like, dude, no, it's just, certain things are clear in any language and any culture because we're all human beings, dude.
Universal.
And certain emotions are universal as hell.
Throughout the history.
This dude is sitting, and then the guy sits next to him, and he's all like, in his face, dude, it's so obnoxious, man.
Like, was that?
It's not like, hey, I'm dancing. No, he was just like, he was ignoring him, and then he looks at the camera, and the look at the camera is like. It's just like
wanted to kill him.
This, like
that's like
just a very quiet, like
the birth of Nihon wa owateru oyaji.
I mean, it wasn't even like angry. It was just like, again, dude, it was just like,
yeah, man.
Forget all of this. This whole scenario is for the birds, dude.
Man, like, I'm pretty sure, like, that dude deep inside, he's like, Nande senso maketanda orera. Old school Japanese people used to think like that.
This guy wasn't that old, dude. Like,
but then, he's like, now I know what my dad was telling me. But yeah, I mean, if you watch those videos, some of these Japanese people, you see him being like, yay, so cool, I love
that's
America,
the kids, though. That's
and all
the kids.
that stuff. Yeah, I mean,
it's only the kids.
Like, most of the shit is cap or drunk kids, or again, just kids, just like
I'm talking children. I'm talking like grade school, junior high, high school.
But yeah,
like nobody else was feeling any of that mess, dude.
Even like just let's say like daigakse or like kaishajin, like dudes or girls in their 20s. If they were like, yay, on the video, whatever, what those guys, like TikTok gaijins, don't realize is most of them people, like afterwards, when the gaijins leave, they're just like, it's mukatsuku.
They gave him the tatemae treatment. Just, man, leave me alone. Oh, yes. Cool. Leave me alone.
Man, even
and
that
inside
stuff, I don't think it's
you.
like that much of a tatemae or two-faced or like faking it. I mean, Japanese people just try to be nice and polite because that's the culture, right? Be nice to gaijins or tourists. So,
or to just people in general. Like, again, there's a lot of like, so da yo ne, and it's actually like, I hate you. Like,
catch me outside.
Right.
Yeah.
So, well, this guy, the guy that did this video, I found him. I found his YouTube channel. So I just wanted to see. He did a video about it. So I was like, all right, well, let's see what this person has to say. Dude, the most disingenuous video. Dude, he was not apologizing. He was just saying he didn't understand what the whole big deal was. He didn't understand why the news was like, denouncing him as a nuisance, and like why, there were all these like social media videos in Japan, like, complaining about him and all about this. The dude was also getting DMs in his account, which were like, some of them were like straight up bad.
Like
just
racist.
Like,
you monkey type stuff.
Just crazy stuff. Like slavery should have never ended. All sorts of stuff. You name it. Dude.
Damn.
Yeah. There's Japanese people made use of that Google Translate, dude. They made sure that their message got across, dude. But I want to say this. All right, like getting into the theme of like racism in Japan, which a lot of people, you get the people in Japan saying, "Hey, man, don't come here and do all this stuff. That's not how we do things in our country. Please respect our country."
Right.
Then this guy in his video is like, "Oh, look at all this smoke. Like he's like, I'm doing what I normally do. I just dance. I dance in the shower. I dance in public. I dance everywhere. That's what I do." Listen, buddy, what you do at home, you could do it at home. But when you're at somebody else's house, you behave according to the house rules. Again, really disingenuous because this dude, there's no way in hell he doesn't understand this.
Right.
He himself said that when he was on the train, you know, he was like, he didn't understand why people weren't feeling him. Like, man, dude, listen, dude, nobody's feeling you here, man. Like, shut up, dude. But like, I mean, again, like this person has millions of followers. And I mean, I don't know, social media is not the real world.
Nah.
It's not the real world. You can have a bunch of people telling you a bunch of stuff on your Instagram, but then you go outside and it's not the same. So like people need to be mindful of that. But this guy saying this, he said, you know, I don't understand what the big deal is. He's like, you tell me if I'm in the wrong or if they're in the wrong. Number one, how are they going to be in the wrong when it's their country and their culture and their traditions?
All that shit is fucking rage baiting. And most of like the followers he has, I'm pretty sure they just following him just to witness his, or like, you know, those people like Johnny Somali.
Well, he's just but see, he's not. He's just a dancer.
Yeah. I mean, people just follow those people just to witness their downfall or even demise. They're just dancing.
I mean, I agree, but like you're following him because you want to see him dance around like an idiot with the other couple dudes that are like part of his crew or whatever. Like, because he doesn't interview people, as far as I know. He doesn't go and interview people. He doesn't talk to people. All he does is the same nonsense, like getting up in people's faces and dancing and stuff. And it's like other people normally just walk away. You know, there's a lot of that in those videos too, which is like, dude, get a clue, buddy. Like he has this thing where he just drops himself on the ground next to people. Like, what is that? And then people look at him and then they just walk away. Yeah. And then he's saying, I don't know why they weren't feeling me in Japan.
Man, shut the
And it's like, dude, you do know, because you can see. You can see they don't like you. They don't like what you're doing, right? Now, here's the thing. Because he's like, I don't want to say the R word, but like, you tell me and whatever. And it's like, okay, listen. It's not racist. It's just you're being a jackass and you're not respecting them. You're not respecting anything. The whole situation is disrespectful. And then you're going to say that it's because of something else.
That's like, the meta these days, man. That's some Johnny Somali again.
Well, again, dude, I think, like I said before, you know, the whole thing about political correctness and all these things, it's just misused to do stuff that normally, you know, you clearly should not do.
Right.
You know, and then it's an excuse. It's just, and then, you know, people are super fearful of being called that.
Yeah.
So then they just like put up with a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah.
And people need to wake up. It's stupid
too. Yeah. Japanese people, same thing too. You know, they just fucking see it and they won't say anything and just walk away. You know where do they go to?
Where?
A sacred place called the comment section, man. so they can be tatemae free, like,
man,
spill out their honne. And if you can read Japanese,
the
99.99999% is
hateful.
Yeah, it's, oh my god, it's bad. It's just like, yo, guys, it's.
But dude, I want to say this. My at least my experience looking at comments online in Japan, Japanese people enjoy their privacy.
Yeah.
So like nobody's ever gonna have their real name as their like handle in any SNS forever, for as long as we know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's like the only time there could be like katema are free.
Oh yeah, and they go hard, and and it's not a race thing because they go hard against each other. They go hard against everybody online. Dude.
Like drill rap, they ain't got shit on them. It's been notorious since the Nichan days.
Oh yeah,
it was bad.
Like 4chan. 4chan comes from Nichan in Japan. That's where I'm pretty sure that's where 4chan comes from. The American one or the English one. And Nichan, dude, the bullying is next level. So again, you got the Honnen in Japan. Yo,
world class Ijiman, man.
Yo, like epic bullying. You know, not condoning it, but you got to point out the stark difference between like the social IRL behavior of people where there's accountability and there's also the respect for social norm. And then the internet, which is the wildest west ever, dude. Like they get crazy with it.
Yeah.
So this guy caught some of that, and he was like, "Yo." And by the way, at least the examples he put up, they're foul, but I've seen worse. I've seen worse, dude. Like and this guy,
I've heard worse.
Yeah, like. This dude is being very disingenuous if he thinks he doesn't, I won't say he deserves it, but did you see the sign?
Yeah.
The sign, like no circus performances.
And on the bottom, it says, Japan is not a theme park.
Yeah.
And it was a black dude doing, and he had an afro.
Standing
or like
on his hands.
Or
Yeah,
whatever,
he's got like
right?
a curly hair. Yeah. Well, dude, okay, here's the thing. Again, people love crying racism. But okay, number one, Japan's a homogenous society, right? Number two, who's doing these things?
Right.
Is it the Japanese? Nope. Is it mad Asian people coming from Korea, from China, from wherever doing this stuff? There may be some. There was an Asian guy dancing with this crew in that video. There was one.
Probably he's from New York too.
But yeah, he was with them, so I'm assuming he came from the States. But this wasn't a problem until recently. This sign is a recent sign.
Right.
And the other thing is this: if they just had a stick person doing that, most foreigners who don't read Japanese would have. It says it in English too.
Right.
So
Japan is not a theme park. No circus.
But the other thing is, they just have a regular stick person there. Like, you might not understand that means you. Is that, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, here's the thing. If you don't want to be, and it's like, well, why do they have to call it a circus? Well, I don't know. You tell me. If you're jumping around like that, and you're upsetting people, and you're acting like a clown, where's the workplace of a clown? It's in the circus. So, again.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, man.
I think it's stupid. I think all the arguments are disingenuous.
Like talking about like Japanese bullying and what you just mentioned. As I've mentioned in, I think it was a JPBM video or Young James video. When Japanese people hate, they are very specific about the race and the nationality.
Yeah, dude.
Like, for example, if you watch Japanese news channels, and every time there's an accident or incident caused by a foreigner, they will make sure everybody knows the suspect's name, age, race, nationality, even occupation. Like, for example, like, 今日午後3時 like 韓国国籍のキムさん、キムなんちゃらかんちゃら、32歳。Like they let you know, like 今日 like 昨日の夜 like 10時六本木で、アメリカン国籍フェリペ・スミス。So yeah, I mean here, like we try to be as vague as possible, right?
That's my biggest nightmare too. Like, yeah, no, because like I was like, well, like I I had a visa that was sponsored by Kodansha, which is the biggest publisher in Japan. And like, if I ever like did anything like that, where I'm in the news, like that's a big meiwaku to that company. That company is like held accountable for you.
Yep.
You know, like it's not like here in the US where like you could be, you know, an executive at some company or whatever, you do something, it's like, well, that's on you, that's on that person, like the company. In Japan, the company takes responsibility for what their employees do.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know.
午後3時、新宿歌舞伎町でアメリカ国籍 DJ5 ダック。Yo, to me, I thought that was always kind of funny because they don't even blur their faces.
No, man.
They make sure you know who. And you see, that's the thing. And depends on the weight of the incident. If it's something serious, you'll find yourself just wishing like the suspects is not your race or nationality. No, because I mean, I look Japanese, so I get away from a lot of things. I'm just like, I mean, he's Japanese, you don't know. But let's say like if it's a black dude and a black dude did something super serious and he got caught.
Right.
And it's on the news 24/7.
Yeah.
You go outside, everybody knows you, but they look at you differently. Now as a black dude, everybody's just like hiding their kids, and people just like, I mean, things like that happen in Japan. So again, makes it hard for every gaijin who's already living in Japan.
Dude,
no, like some dudes, like they get from stores.
Yeah. Well, dude, that's one reason I didn't want to go there without speaking Japanese. I mean, you don't have to speak Japanese to go there, but like I felt like I wanted to know what was going on and to be able to explain myself, you know? And, you know, like people, I see this a lot. I see it online. I've been asked a lot of times, like, you know, are Japanese people racist? Like, you know, do they, you know, this and that? And it's like, my answer is always, you know, it's more about not knowing particularly about foreign countries or their customs or anything in general. So like a lot of times, you know, they just see you as like an ET, you know, you're just not from Japan. Yeah. And like, they just don't know what to expect from you. And the thing is they see wild ass behavior from foreigners over there.
Yeah.
They see foreigners do stuff they would never, ever do, you know? I mean, most people in Japan would not go jump around and dance on the train like that and annoy people. Like, they would never do that. So to them, when they see someone do that, they can't even guess what's in this person's head and why this person thinks it's okay to subject them to that. They can't. It's a cultural thing. You know, the ones with more imagination or who even want to bother to think of, most people, they just don't want to be bothered. They don't care what your deal is.
Like,
just leave me alone, life, you know?
Yeah.
The ones with more imagination could be like, oh, well, you know, he's young or whatever. But you can't expect people to like, you know, come up with stories as to why they shouldn't have a problem with what you're doing, right?
Man, I guess these TikTok gaijins, they don't care as long as they get their bullshit videos, the content from Japan.
Oh, right.
Look out. But then, you know, what's left behind is those guys watching those TikTok gaijins, and I guess now they're racist now. They're just like, Nihon zettai kuru na. All the comments, man. Don't do this in Japan. Don't come to Japan. What's police doing?
Right.
All these racist comments and all this stuff. It's not only towards black people, like all other gaijins.
Right. We should do a PSA for the Japanese listeners, you know, from Cringe Musume. 外国人はみんな迷惑じゃない. Like, you know, there's some of us are nice and we and polite.
On behalf of all the Americans, すみませんでした.
Yeah, I would just tell them, man, like, you know, we hate those people too.
Yeah, man. Not only those like train dancers, performers. You know those cringy ass videos of gaijins walking up to regular Japanese people and do the fist bump, and when they do it, they're like, nani nani, and they do it. You know, all the played out stuff. They're just copying stuff like free hugs, random fashion checks, street interviews, and all that stuff.
They're doing this in Japan.
Yeah,
free
man.
hugs.
All that
don't
stuff.
Hug. So they got 0 hugs. Yeah. I assure you, from a stranger.
Died like mad years ago, and again, they're just doing it in Japan these days. And
who's doing that in Japan? Are they
fucking TikTok people and IG people? In YouTube
I need to see this. How many
people.
hugs do they get out of 300 people?
Probably.
I'd be surprised if they got 1
or 2, or by other gaijins or something like that. Man.
Maybe other gaijins, maybe, but I would be surprised if I saw out of 300 Japanese people, strangers,
all the same,
absolute strangers,
just in Japan now. 0. I mean, I don't know, man. Also, celebrities and rappers going to Japan and geeking out and bothering like random like people passing by. Who was that dude? Tyler. You know who I am?
Guess where I'm from.
All the Japanese girls. Nani,
they have no idea who you are, dude.
They're just geeking out because
it was him. I think it was also
who else was there?
What's his name? Travis Scott. I think there was a video of him too, and like same thing. Like people, dude, they don't know. You know, it's funny. Like, here's a funny conversation I had at a bar with a Japanese girl. She asked me, 日本の芸能人で誰が人気？アメリカで。And she asked, like, you know, which Japanese celebrities are popular in the U.S. And I was like, what? I'm like, none of them. And on top of it, this was like ages ago. So even less. I don't know. Does the average American know any Japanese people nowadays?
Japanese Americans? Or nowadays, maybe, because we have
what
YouTube.
Japanese American is known by Japanese people? Or American
George Takei, Mr. Miyagi.
Okay. Oh, dude, somebody told me once that Pat Morita, right? Pat Morita?
Morita-san.
They just said like, oh man, he's Mexican. Somebody told me that once. And like,
Senor
it's
Morita?
It's true. Yeah. But yeah, okay, true. God. So like, yeah, Takei and Morita and who else?
Can't really think.
So yeah, I mean, like, actually. Okay, you got those. But I guess in Japan, you know, they'll know like, you know, Brad Pitt or whatever movie is like big. They'll know about that person for a while. Right. Then that person will just be like kind of forgotten. They'll be, oh yeah, it was this guy. You know, some of them, they'll do like a SoftBank commercial in Japan and then they'll be more popular.
Tommy Lee Jones.
You know? But she asked me that. I'm like, no, I mean like Japanese celebrities, I don't think Americans know any of them. And she was like, hey, and that really struck me because it's like, what's her concept of the U.S., right? Like, is the U.S. watching Japanese TV in her mind?
And be like, oh my God. What? Probably. I don't know.
But why? In what world would that happen though? Like, I'm just trying to think. Like, most Japanese people. I mean, this girl was maybe a little kawateru, you know, but like most people, when I would talk to them, they'd say, oh, like, you know, I'm surprised that you know anything about the stuff here. Because they're like, you know, our country's very different. Our language is different. We don't have a lot of, you know, like the exports Japan has are niche.
Right.
In Japan.
Yeah.
They're, you know, I don't know if you would consider video games niche. A lot of people, you know, play games, but still
made the whole scene, right? So
right.
I don't think that's a niche, but you know,
but kind of is. Yeah. Anime is niche, man. Like again, most people are not watching, you know, whatever, Full Metal Alchemist. I don't. What's out right now? What's it, Dan or something like that? I haven't seen it
nowadays.
Yet,
no,
but like, right. But
last
anyway,
thing
like
I
it's
saw
not
was like Kimetsu no Yaiba and Shingeki no Kyojin.
Right. So yeah, those are like still like years ago. But anyway, your favorite anime is not watched by the average Japanese person, I would say. That's my hot take, which isn't so hot. Like, that's just the reality. You go into a bar and you ask somebody about your favorite anime, unless it's mad old and they were watching it when they were kids.
Yeah.
Unless they're into that kind of stuff, they're not going to know. The same way here in the US, if you're asking somebody about cartoons or comics at a sports bar, you know, you may find some people who know, because now Marvel and DC, you know, they've had movies for a couple of you know, over a decade. How long is 2000s, I guess. So yeah, 2 decades.
Yeah, man.
Maybe.
You have a better chance talking about anime, like mentioning Chibi Maruko-chan, than...
Yeah, it's got to be some old school stuff.
Then...
Gegege no Kitaro.
Kitaro.
You know, like
Kitaro's my
Atomu.
favorite. Yeah, Atomu, shit like that.
You know, all of those things.
Yeah, man.
You try to get into Robotech, and now you're not gonna find.
Then they're gonna
they're not.
聞いたことあるんだけど
Yeah, right.
Parentheses, grow the fuck up. And peace.
They
Then they will run to the comment section like, today I met this dude.
But the thing is, it's not the medium that they're not aware of. Like, adults will know anime and manga, but they'll know it from their childhood. And if it's manga, they'll know it from like whatever they're reading. So there's so many different themes and genres for manga that, like, yeah, you'll find most adults even, they'll probably read a manga even when you speak to them, but it might not be something you even know about. It might be about wine tasting or about, you know,
some
the economy or,
like Ushichima-kun type stuff.
Right.
That's some depressing that shit. But yo, like, let's keep
or
the
about businessmen.
Shima Kosaku. Yeah. And that I can't, man. That one, I'm just like, so 80s and 90s. So that's why, like, the girl, you know, who asks you, 日本の芸能人誰知ってる? 誰が人気? So they read those kind of mangas. Shima Kosaku is like a regular Japanese dude. And he goes to all these other countries, does the job, gets the girls.
Right.
It's like a Japanese version of Superman, right? It's 007. So in their minds, like, 日本人世界で, like, you know, like, イケてる or...
Do they really think that?
I think so. I mean, at least back in the days. Now, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now we have Otani stuff.
Yeah.
The Yankees lost, by the way. Anyways. Yeah, man. Nah, that was something embarrassing. But anyways, back to these for like 迷惑外人. Again, just to close the segment. Can tell you with confidence, Japanese people hate all of you guys. It's not a hot take.
Yeah, just don't be a nuisance foreigner.
Yeah, man.
I mean, you know, caring about doing things the right way goes a long way, and it's you know, really appreciated.
Right.
But if you're gonna go there and play by your own rules in someone else's country, and you're gonna disregard everything, including the looks you're being given, then, you know, you deserve the hate you get. That's what I would say. I mean, you're asking for it. You wouldn't appreciate that in your own home.
100%.
So,
by the way, can you guess which country visits Japan the most?
The most?
Yeah.
Korea.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah. And Gyakuni. You know which country visits Korea the most?
Is it Japan?
Yes.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Nakawari my ass, man.
Well, they like going shopping. I had friends that told me they liked going to Korea because they could shop 24/7.
Yeah.
Like for everything. Everything was just open. And so they could go for, like, you know, 2 days.
Yeah. Like even. Food too, or, Like nice.
And just get everything done.
Same day too. If you're from Busan, like all the way, like a lot of people from Busan, they take a boat to was it Fukuoka or something like that? It's like 2-hour ride by a ferry. So
Oh,
they'll
that's
just
right.
go, just go eat like udon, like shop
Right.
around, then come back to Busan the same day.
Okay, so it's a ferry. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a friend told me she went there. They went to eat and to shop and then came back. And I was like, yo, you got it like that? But I mean, if you can just take a ferry.
Used to be cheap too. The ferry is like what? Like tickets like $100 to Japan or something like that.
Right.
And even plane tickets used to be like that. Gimpo or Incheon to either Narita or Haneda. Like cheapest I got was 150 Wolfgu round trip.
Nice.
Yeah. So it used to be mad cheap. Korea and Japan. I mean,
Crazy. 150s.
it's right next to each other. It's right next to each other. Just like all the time. But you know, when it comes to sightseeing, it's like Japan.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
And
I think it's just the disingenuine
disingenuine
nature of it.
That's the meta these days.
I don't know.
Everybody,
I don't know.
what do you guys think?
Yeah, nah.
Man, shut the up. Anyways, so let's talk about some Japanese train manners and random Japanese train facts.
I was surprised that, I mean, every train in every country has rules.
Yeah.
And like Japan was the first time I saw everybody obey every single rule.
It's pretty strict too. It is.
Yo, I was shocked. I was shocked because like my experience with rules, growing up in Argentina, the buses and trains, it would say like, you know, no food, no drinks, no music. Dude, it's like, it was like pointless for that to be up because nobody paid attention. Like people didn't even know about it.
It's like New York. It's like, oh, you guys don't know how to read?
Right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
But,
and then Japan, I was just amazed. I was like, wow.
Yeah. So a few points I memoed. I mean, memoing these things, I thought to myself, I'm like, yo, like, do they have to tell people these things? Type feeling I got. Yeah, I'm like, yo, first one is be quiet. No loud talking, singing, or even talking on the phone. Japan's pretty strict with that stuff, right?
Right.
And 2, no eating, no drinking, no smoking.
Right. Yeah.
3, do not litter on trains. Japanese trains are mad clean. Unless, you know, people grow up and do all this stuff. But, you know, usually it's really clean, right? And number 4, when you wait for the train, you line up on the platform. That's what you have to do.
Right.
And number 5, there are priority seats for elderly people or, you know, pregnant women or kids, infants and all that stuff. So yield your seat.
Right.
Or just leave it open, right? Because
just don't sit there.
yeah,
Right.
like right next to the door. It's like 2-seater. But you know, drunk people, they sit there a lot of times. And the next one, during rush hours, they have women-only cars.
Right.
If you're a dude, do not get on it.
Right.
You'll be arrested.
I made that mistake. I didn't know the first time. Yeah, they're pink.
Yeah,
Their cars are pink. On the
Even
outside,
the platform, it says like in the bottom these days. And
I had no idea. I was in a rush and I ran in, and then like I noticed everybody. It was all women, and they were all looking at me, and I'm like, ooh, like the next stop, I got out. I didn't know there were just cars
the
for
girls
women.
just like or they're like.
Yeah, no, they gave me the Nihongo Wateru look. Yeah, for sure. They were all quiet, but they all looked at me like, yeah.
And I mean, that's pretty much it. Or what else is there? Like during rush hours, do not expect any personal space. So you'll be pretty much just like,
You're
looking at those sausages, the canned sausages. Everybody,
100%.
What else is there?
The last train is like that, and then the rush hour trains in the morning.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's bad.
Yeah.
And what else is there? If the train is crowded, you know how they have their backpack? And then when they get on the train, if it's fairly crowded, then, you know, they take it off and they put it
on the front.
front. Yeah. Or even one other thing I was always kind of like surprised when I was living in Japan was a lot of girls, they take 2 bags. They carry 2 bags. A lot of them. they had a backpack and I don't know, some other like a tote bag or something like that.
Okay.
And people always put it between their legs or on the top. It's never like like wearing a backpack to the back and just like moving around. Like
Right.
Only gaijins do that though.
Being mindful again, it's just not knowing and not thinking, like not. I mean, I think when I was there, I was like hyper, like Hukio Yomu Modo, like just like always like, you know, and like yeah, and I felt like I lived my whole life like that, like trying not to do any gaijin stuff, you know, trying to, you know, so I would ask. Fortunately, people around me would give me heads up about a lot of stuff.
All right.
You know, like if you're going somewhere and like they imagine you might not know about something, they'll tell you, oh, like they, at least in my experience, they enjoy telling you about stuff. Like, this is how we do this. Right. You know how I said, like, they generalize? They're like, we, the Japanese, we do this.
Yeah.
And like, they're like, oh, we do this stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
all these rules, man, yeah. Train rules, too. Like, it's pretty strict. But to Japanese people, it's more like muscle memory to them. I mean, they already know everything, of course. So... and people really follow these rules unless they're super drunk or, you know, something happens. But most of the time,
they're impaired in some way. It's usually just that. The other thing is the side of the, like if you're on the escalator, you know, if you're walking, or if you're standing, you stay on one side. Yeah. And they're different in Osaka and Tokyo.
Right. It says Osaka.
I don't remember which side is which.
Tokyo is left side. You stand on the left side.
And you walk on the right side.
Yeah, and
Osaka is the opposite.
Yeah.
But either way, just look at what people are doing and follow that. That's it, you know.
One other thing about Japanese trains, super clean.
Well, that's why they stop at midnight. They got all that time until 5 to clean them. Yeah,
super clean. Smells pretty okay too. And unless it's summer, then, you know, people, they don't really wear deodorants, so it will smell. But I mean, yeah, man, compared to here, Japanese trains are like a Disney ride, man. Well,
yeah, I mean,
look at trains
here.
They're
on time too.
Yeah, on time. Because if they're late because of whatever reason, they have to pay the country, I don't know how, but it was an expensive fine. They have to pay. So they always try to be on time.
Right. And also, if there's some kind of accident or someone jumps in front of the train or whatever, which has happened. When I lived there, it happened a couple of times. Yeah. And I didn't even ride the train that often because I worked from home and I would go to meetings like every couple of weeks at Kodansha. But like it still happened, the 4 years I was there, it happened like maybe two or three times where the train, if it's late, then you
get a ticket, right?
You get a little ticket where it's basically like a proof that you're not late because you did something. It's because of the train. And you can take that to work and let them know, like, hey, it's not me being unprofessional. It's the train.
Besides those things, you know, Japanese trains they're nice, just expensive. Depends on the distance. Gets more expensive further it is. But Korea was always kind of like the same. It was mad cheap. We're cheap here too. That's why our trains are all messed up, like bar.
The trains here, man, for the longest time in LA, nobody was paying.
Right.
So that's why they started, like, I think when I got back from Japan,
people still don't
like
pay.
Maybe 2014, maybe 10 years ago, they started having police in the train asking everybody for their ticket. And then I remember, like, I would get on at the North Hollywood station and the turnstiles, they just spun. They never locked. And then one day they locked them. They started having the police in the train, like asking everybody for the ticket. And that whole day, you saw nothing but people running and like,
yo, like that's New York train. Like trains got a little better over the years, but like trains in New York, it used to look like remember the subway stage in Final Fight?
Yeah, like the Warriors, dude.
You get in, crackheads everywhere, graffitis, glasses all broke, windows all broke,
scratched and tagged.
People fighting and all that stuff.
Yeah,
but I mean, compared to that, like Japanese trains it's like a train, heaven-bound train, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, no, they're super clean. They're super, and Yeah, they're new also.
Yeah.
Like they keep them in
That's why
tip-top
they're
shape.
expensive.
Yeah.
One other thing about Japanese trains being so quiet was always weird to me because of all the advertisement prints, like hanging from the ceiling, on the walls inside the cars. It's everywhere. And these ads, man, they're mad loud and kawaii, right? It's pink.
Yeah.
I mean, bold, extra bold text and all that stuff.
Yeah, the designs are great.
Yeah, the contrast between like dead quiet train in the ads,
And visually loud. Yeah.
visually loud. The contrast always like creeped me out, man. I was like, wow. And you see all these like grabia girls too, because you know all the shukanshi manga,
Right.
they had grabia girls in the front, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I know this one girl. She became a grabia. This one girl. But then it's not like I talked to her after that. So
Right.
I was like, super weird. Like now that we talked about it, I think being quiet, not only inside the car or on the train, just pretty much everywhere. Isn't that like don't you think that's like the first thing you get used to living in Japan?
Yeah, it's the first thing It's the first thing I noticed when I got to Narita was how quiet the airport was.
Right.
It's just quiet in general. That's another thing. Like Japanese people were telling was Takashi-kun, that just foreigners are just loud. They just speak really loudly. They play their music loud. That's one of the reasons finding an apartment is hard for Westerners in Japan. They always relegated to some gaijin house that's not even earthquake proof.
Real house,
some old building
like that. Yeah, man. Also, I think that's the first step of becoming a Japanese person too, like mentally and unconsciously, because I mean, you start to live in Japan. Give yourself like a year or two, not even a year, to a few months. Then you'll start to get annoying by all these loud noises made by gaijins on the train.
Right.
And like I remember this one time, I got on the train in Shinjuku with my Japanese American friend. There was this one white girl and two American dudes. I'm pretty sure they're all American. This girl was like, train was fairly packed, but this girl alone, she was like, I am speaking in English. You guys don't know what I'm talking about. And we all, like, me, I'm a gaijin too, right? And my Japanese American friend, he's a gaijin too. I mean, he's Japanese American, but he's more of an American dude. Right. Like, two of us is just like, become the Nihon wa owatte oyajin, just like, And this girl, like, it was going on for like 2 stations straight. Like, this bitch was really having a Disney princess moment. And we were like, And I was like, I saw my friend hunching down. And he was like, shut the up, bitch. And I don't know what happened. Like, this girl, like, yo, like, that's pretty much expected if you act that way. Right. Like, this bitch had an audacity. Not in English. She's like, who said that? Who said that? She was looking for us and all that stuff. But, we're both Asian, so she looked at us and like, that Asian camouflage right there. We're just like, hello, gaijin-san. They got off.
I don't know.
Don't know. Welcome to Japan. After she got off, like, like the door closes, right?
Right.
From the window, we're like, you.
Yeah, it's always surprising to me how people visiting just feel like they own the place. They can do whatever they want. I think part of it is because it's so quiet and people are so non-confrontational. Yeah. They just assume like, well, if nobody's going to tell me anything, I'm going to do whatever I want. And it's it's a bit upsetting.
Yeah.
What's that?
That is the mentality.
Yeah.
Man, like, I really feel bad for Japanese people, like, watching all those videos, man. But to be fair, Japanese people do mad bullshit on trains too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just a different time of the day. Pretty much at night. Towards the last train, you see more. It's just like the chances of seeing is like rises towards the train. Yeah, because everybody been drinking all night. Or like the first train too. Right. Because people been drinking all night. and just like,
well, those are people with excuses. Like it's either someone who's drunk, which is like I'd say 99% of the time.
Yeah.
The other 1% of the time is someone who's having like a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
And they're screaming and they're like, and you can see videos on YouTube, but it's usually those two kinds of cases. There's an excuse for it. These foreigners that are doing that, they don't have those excuses. Too. They're sober. They're not, mentally deranged. I mean, I've seen some crazy Japanese, like, where they're screaming. They're like, and it's just
like,
and you're like, who are you yelling at, dude?
Chikans, every like dudes just like try to touch a girl,
right?
And pretty fairly empty train, and people just record these motherfuckers like, it's really weird to see people like, I mean, freaks come out at night, right? So people lying on the floor, passed out on the chair, throwing up, of course, smoking a cigarette, everything. So drinking is a big part too. People drink on the train too. They get that chuhai or like a beer. Mostly, I don't know, some ozeki 1 cup,
the classic,
and just like and some old Japanese dudes will walk up to them and be like, 電車の中で飲んじゃダメだよ. And these dudes is like not giving like うっせんだよさ and just it's all on Instagram or like YouTube videos and all that stuff. That's crazy. But again, man, people are really more forgiving, and people, because they're drunk, it's like まあ酔っ払ってるからいいや
right?
Man, but Chikan is a different thing though.
Well, that's a whole other topic, man.
Yeah. Yo, talking about people drinking and smoking, I remember one of the Kabukicho boys, Sueto. This motherfucker, man. He
Hokkari Sueto?
Hokkari Sueto. His last name is Hokkari. That's why he's Hokkari Sueto.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I
Makes
asked him,
sense.
like, why is your rap name Sueto? He's like, 俺名字がHokkariなんだよ. So everybody was like,
Nice.
But yeah.
You should explain that, right? Like there's a sports drink called Pokari Sweat. It's a drink in Japan and it says sweat on it, which is always funny because you would think that probably tastes salty and disgusting if it's called sweat. But it's a sports drink. And so to them, the sound, English and sueto, sounds active. We're going to call our drink Pokari Sweat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to drink that all the time, dude.
Yeah. I still drink it.
There was that and Aquarius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, but we were doing konbini nomi in front of that club in Kabukicho. And Sueto came. Yeah, this motherfucker. Yeah. 昨日さ、帰りさ、電車の中で変なチンピラと揉めちゃってさ。I'm like, yo, like, what kind of chimpira? Like, you think he's around here? Let's go get him. And stuff like that. Like, and we would ask him, like, what happened? Like, どうしたんだ? 何したのお前? He was like, いやー、まあ喧嘩になりそうになって、でも俺もうさっき降りたけど。I'm like, yo, okay, what happened? He's like, いや、俺酔っ払ってさ、電車の中でタバコ吸ってたら、このチンピラが来て、俺、we all like, mother, it's you then.
Why are you smoking on the train, fool? Yeah. He's being a meiwaku Nihonjin, dude.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Nuisance Japanese, dude.
Exactly. Like, チンピラが来て、he was scolded by a チンピラ, dude. Like, you're not supposed to smoke on the train.
Right. Yeah.
And he's like, うっせんだよ.
Yeah, you know it's bad. You know you're an asshole when a chimpira is telling you to behave, dude.
That's the first. I mean, I met that dude on the train to that club, like in Musashi Koyama station.
Oh, you met him for the first time on the train?
On the train.
Okay.
And this dude's like 6'4", tall Japanese motherfucker, right? And I was like, and he wearing this beanie, Tim's, and everything. I'm like, yeah, so tachiwarui na. Who is this hoodlum, right? And we're just like looking at each other.
He was thinking the same thing about you,
probably.
dude.
Then we got off because it stops at Meguro Station, and everybody's transferred to JR line, right?
Right.
And we were just walking the same direction all the way.
Looking at each other, like,
looking at each other.
who's this guy?
And I was like, is he following me? All that stuff. All the way to Shinjuku. Got off the station. All the way to the club, just like looking at each other. And when we got to the club, went inside the club. Was like, さっき電車で, and he was
Right.
like, yeah. Became friends.
There you go, dude.
It turns out to be a neighbor. Oh, by the way, a little update about Johnny Somali.
Oh, yeah?
What happened? Yeah, because
What's up?
on December 3rd, like the president of Korea declared the martial law, right?
Right.
And he said he will wipe out all the pro-North Korean parties, pro-communist activities, and like content creators and everything, right? And Johnny Somali, he got scared. He just deleted all the North Korean videos and just laying
snap,
low,
dude.
man. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
according to the lawyer dude, hold on, let me see. Said the trial of Johnny Somali has been moved from December 20th to March 2025.
Damn.
So he's in Japan.
He's got to stay there until March.
Yeah, and he's running out of money. And what I've heard was, I don't know if it's the police, but they took his equipment, all of his equipment. So he can't
so
even.
he can't stream.
He can't stream. They confiscated.
So what's he doing out there? Just
He just
staying low.
They're just
laying
staying low out there, I guess. Knows what's gonna happen. No one.
Yeah, it's funny, that guy that was doing the dancing on the train and stuff. I guess people were telling him, "Hey, are you still in Japan? Like, you know, come back quick because like they're gonna arrest you
And send you to Korea.
Send you to Korea. Take care of this guy for us." But yeah, apparently, like his friends were telling him, "You got to leave the country quick." He wasn't there anyway, but.
Oh my god, it's crazy. But again, to close today's videos, one last word. Thank you all the Meoku Gaijins.
Yeah, stop making us look bad.
Exactly.
Yeah, stop showing your ass
Yep.
out in another country, man. It's disgraceful. You're an embarrassment.
Exactly. So yeah, that's it for today. See y'all in the comments then.
Please like and subscribe.